I also am a product of Atlanta Public School Systems. I went to Fulton High School.
Wow. Okay. So that's really bringing things home for us. I was an employee at Atlanta Public Schools. Jillian is now in Atlanta Public Schools, and then we have a native. So you can tell us how the schools have transformed since when you were there.
Well, we aging me, so of course.
But you look good.
Thank you.
You cute.
Thank you.
Okay.
But in all honesty, I grew up in an era where we beat kids in school. So
she said beat.
We got
spare the rod. I'm gonna find a scripture for that. I'm working on that right now.
Well, they didn't know back when I was coming up, but I believe that it made us better kids.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get discipline at home, when you got to school, you get in line, you act
Absolutely.
right. And I believe that prayer should be in schools. I believe that even if a child has no recollection or no open avenue to religion, that having a safe place, such as a place that they spend most of their day, they spend more time in a school setting than they do at home with their parents. That is the place where you can instill some values. And even if it's not religion per se, even if it's just discipline, it's not so much that religion brings in this God and, Jesus, and we have these things that we do. It is a sense of discipline. There's a sense of respect. And I think that is what's missing in the world. Okay. That people don't have general respect of other people, general respect of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just etiquette of how to act and what is the expectation of you. How do you represent your family when you're outside of their presence?
Right.
Just those general things that sometimes we got from school.
We did. I remember being the just say no kid. Even though, my parents didn't do drugs or didn't drink alcohol, I was big on just say no, just because that's what I got at school. So I do understand the influence, but I reflect on Matthew 7:21, where it says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven." So where I'm probably a bit coming from another place with prayer in school, I think we are easily distracted as a society. I'll even delve deeper into saying I think we're easily distracted as a people. So we'll spend more time campaigning on Capitol Hill, writing bills and legislation on let's put prayer in school. Ain't nobody praying in your house. And though I do feel like prayer in school would at least open up an avenue, we know that parents, and Jillian, please tell me if I'm wrong, even though we don't see it, parents are the most influential to children than friends or anything in that developmental stage. Behavior is better caught than taught, right? So if in my house we don't value any type of religion. I'm not even talking just religion. I'm talking about you, because the LeAnn show is designed to create the best interactions with others. That's what we're purposed for. So when I think about that, if I don't value life, I don't value other people, and I see my parents do this on a daily basis, you sending me to school and them forcing me to pray, I hear you.
True, but I think that it has some relevance, and I believe that it will have an effect, because just like you're saying, I believe that parents are spending less time with their children right now. You're going right back into entrepreneur and what I stand for.
Okay.
I do believe that we have more parents that are spending more time at work doing other things, and they're instilling values into their children.
Right.
We don't have big mamas anymore.
Right.
We don't. Grandmama is 35 and she's still twerking.
Right.
So let's be real. Our society is different. People are living longer, and values have gone to the mud. So we have to have some kind of a known factor that kids can say, I know that when I go here, I at least have this. I can tell you that growing up, like the way I grew up in the inner city of Atlanta, it was not life was not a crystal stick.
Go on.
Okay. I could.
Right.
But the thing about it is, it was school. The one thing that I knew is when I left hell and went to heaven when I got to school.
You had a safe haven.
I did.
And I appreciate that. But when I think about the generational gap, I have been inside the school system.
Me too.
Some kids are leaving heaven and going to hell, or just moving from one level of hell to another. I'm serious, because now, and Jillian, chime in on this, know that even our educators, every level, our standard has been lowered. So now, the big mama that was also the school teacher, now we got, I'm not going to call, so I'm going to get tweeted and text and Facebook. Now we have Jamie, we'll use Jamie. Well, we've got Jamie in the classroom that not only will twerk with you, but we'll cuss you out and we'll lay hands on you, but it's in a different, and she's licensed. She's licensed, she's young, and she's been fostered.
But think about what you're saying. You're proving the point. The point is, go ahead,
LeAnn, and too, when I became a parent, my daughter is 4 years old, and, God just spoke to me and said, you are the most important person in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And we as parents have to own that. Yeah. When I sit with parents and they say, well, the times have changed, so we have to ... No, just because the times change doesn't mean that I have to decrease my values or change the way I monitor or pour into my child. Because otherwise, I'm allowing society to dictate my parenting.
Absolutely.
Instead of the Bible. God brought her through my body, in my vessel. So it's my responsibility to pour into her, to be that protector for her. And I take that very seriously. When we leave our children's spirits open and susceptible to all types of things, because we're not there to protect them for various reasons, because we have parents that are too busy working 4 and 5 jobs and overspending. We have parents that are more interested in dating and being a part of other social groups than being there for their child. So everyone is there for your child except who? You.
Exactly.
So otherwise, so you leave your baby open. You leave them vulnerable.
Right.
I pray every day for God to protect my daughter's ear gate and her eye gate, what she sees and what she hears. And if we're not covering our kids every day, we leave them vulnerable.
Absolutely.
But it's our job as parents.
Yes, and so for those children that don't have the parenting and the guardianship that the baby has, that your children have. So, Jillian, from when we go to school, though, but our teachers aren't to the caliber, and not all of them, because I respect and love educators. I have some very good friends that are educators, but we're like-minded. So if I was an educator, I would pour into, I don't really hang with that group.
Well, most of my friends, if it wasn't for the fact that there are laws and school is different, I would be a teacher. I am an educator at heart. But most of my friends are teachers, and things have changed. Their spirit is broken because they can't do what their spirit would tell them to do, which is take a child aside, pray for them, say something inspirational to them. They will get in trouble for that. Just being a good teacher is not good enough anymore. There are systems that are against our kids and learning, because the teachers' hands are tied. Most of my friends are getting out of education, and we're losing our good teachers, and that opens the door for Jamie with her young self. We don't, my teachers were old. They retired. They were grandmothers and
they were teachers to your parents.
Yes.
Absolutely. So Jillian, tell us.
Yeah.
If it's not, and let me tell you why I'm just not saying prayer. Because I think that we have to be careful. I'm at a mindset now that I feel like society is pushing so much on me. I don't stop pushing stuff on me. I want to make decisions. I want to not compromise my belief system. And in order for me not to do that, what I have to do is give that to other people. So what I am always afraid of, when we do legislation, when we do certain things, we don't look at all the pages and all the layers. So it's not necessarily prayer. Let me go ahead and tell you. It's not necessarily prayer. I'm a praying woman. I believe in the power of prayer. And if And Jillian, you talked about your baby growing up in Catholic school. The environment. Those kids came from like-minded households. When you throw everybody together in a public setting, and this person praises this person, we believe in this, we believe in different beliefs, and then we say we're all going to pray under this belief. So now you know when the tables are turned, now you're asking me to compromise and do some things that I don't want to do. I would rather, because the thing about it is, I don't care where I am, I'm going to say my grace. If my baby know to say her grace, she's going to say her grace anywhere. Those that want to say grace with her, she's going to say the grace. Because it's a relational thing. It becomes a habit. So I don't need you to mandate my habits. And that is the problem that I see with prayer in school. So Jillian, tell me, give me feedback on that.
Well, the school has now, well, let's go back a bit. Back in the day, right? Back in the day, the school, the church, the community, the grocery store was all an extension of the community.
Absolutely.
So if you walked down the street, everybody raised you. It wasn't like it was just, you had your parent, but you had Big Mama up the street, this person at the grocery store, or whomever, the postman would be a part of that process. Everything now is so disjointed and siloed.
Yes.
So what the school has become is the disjointed and siloed. The school has become the hub for everything. If the student needs medicine, some schools will help the parents get that.
Is your phone on?
If the student needs clothes, some schools will help the student, and that most will. Some schools will even go and pick the parent up and bring them to the school. So the school has become the hub for all things needed in the community for the child. So the only piece, because of separation of church and state, that would be missing is the spirituality piece, the prayer piece. Because while the student is with the school, the school is considered the parent.
Yeah. Right.
Period. So the school has owned a lot of the traditional or the biological parent's responsibility in the process of raising the child.
Right.
In doing so, there's no longer a partnership. It's a me against them type of situation. So, if I call home and I say that little Johnny's been acting up, well, the first thing the parent sometimes is going to say, well, what did you do?
Right. Absolutely.
Whereas back in the day, it was a partnership. Little Johnny couldn't do that because the teacher and the mom were on the same page in terms of raising him.
Absolutely. Well, now that we know, I believe that all the problems start at home, and I think it's unfair for us to send our children to a place and think that they're going to get all they need as far as development, values, and morals from an entity.
That's true.
And don't get me wrong, I think that they all should be interlinked, but we have to go forward and figure out, we used to pray at the flagpole in high school. We used to go to clubs that fostered relationships with God. I was in every spiritual Christian group that you could think of, and it wasn't a big deal. But like I said, going back to my issue now is just because now we see where society is moving. As a believer, now we see where society's moving. I don't want to say we're being judgmental. I'm saying my doctrine, my belief system, I don't want to compromise it. And so if I push this on somebody else, somebody's going to push their stuff back on me. That is what I'm worried about. So I want to talk about going forward. We can no longer rest on back in the day. So what can we do today to bring all this together? Okay, do we pray? Do we not pray? What can we do for those youth that aren't going to have those parental love that we've received and that we were accustomed to, or that we're giving our children, but we still have to address it and try to figure out a resolution, because once again, we're purposed to create the best interaction with others. And we're going to hold on because we actually have a caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey there, how are you?
Hey, LeAnn, how are you today?
I am good, thank you. Tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
My name is Sean Bailey, and I'm calling from Hiram, Georgia.
Sean Bailey, one of my most loyal listeners. Well, Sean, are you listening to us? Tell us, what do you think?
Well, I really feel bad, especially having a son that's in high school. I feel bad for the state that I think the schools are in. I know you said one of the things that, we can't do is go back in the day. But as we're all talking, when we were in school, there was just like a moral, and it rested on biblical principles. There was a lot of things that we grew up with. Everything was based off of biblical principles. And my theory is a little bit different. I support what Sean Thomas is doing as entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur with the women. I think everybody, especially as Christians, I always believe in the golden rule. The man with the gold makes the rule. And I believe as Christians, we need to stand for what we believe in and what we were taught. Mm-hmm. And every other, if you look at the way things are, every other community, every other race does that. Oh. And as Christians, we always back down. But every other race is known to do that. Even if you look at, not to pick on about Muslims, there's been times and places where Muslims have their set time when they go and they say prayer. Even though it's segregated, make them go do their own thing. I just think as Christians, we should take a stand for some things that we believe in and some things we won't falter on. And as Christians, I think when we take a stance and say, this is how we feel about something, people say, well, you're judging me. It's not that I'm judging. This is just what we believe in. These are, like you said, these are some of the things that we raise our children to believe and stand for. And I don't see anything wrong with it, but a lot of times it's like, as a Christian, if you take a stand for what you believe in, you're judging someone else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I say what I believe in.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, and Sean, you hit the nail on the head because I quoted that the other day about we will be persecuted. And I'll have a scripture for that when we come back, I promise you. But as believers, we will be persecuted. We're judgmental when we judge the tree by its fruit. When we say we don't condone, it looks like we're trying to condemn, which is not. I can disagree with you, Sean, right now and still love the mess out of you. And I don't have to agree with everything that you say. And I do believe that we have to be intentional as Christians and continue to stand our ground as believers. Exactly. We have to have our spiritual leaders stand up and speak boldly because we're letting everyone else make the legislation and speak for us.
Right, but like you said, when you go into Capitol Hill with certain things, people on Capitol Hill fighting for everything else. So the other side is basically fighting for their rights.
Right.
So one thing, a prayer in school, yeah, we can fight for that because after a while, there's just so much going on that is totally against what the whole country was founded on. The country was founded on biblical principles and having the freedom to, come on. Everything that America stands for was modeled around the Bible.
And let me tell you, because what somebody is going to call and hit us with, and we're going to take a quick break, is because the way the country was founded, on the backs of people that they hurt. So see, we always get into this where it's that sticky situation, and biblically, people pick and choose the scriptures in which they want to follow. But I say, I don't necessarily feel like we have to have a structured prayer. And I think this is where I'm saying, I don't think I have to have a structured prayer, even though I know my belief system. But if your baby is anything other than a Christian, I can love your baby. I can encourage your baby. I can empower your baby. And if your baby ever gives me the opportunity to say, hey, Miss LeAnn, why are you like you are? They have opened up the gateway for me to tell you it ain't nothing but the Jesus in me, right?
Right.
So on that note, we are going to take a break. And you know what? Like I said, we have to encourage our babies. And I remember being at my niece's graduation and them playing this next song, Hall of Fame by Script with will.i.am. I love that song. So this is the type of stuff that we have to put in our babies. And then I think that they'll pick up Jesus. Totally. So we'll be right back. 108 Praise Radio, Voice in the Gospel. I'm the loving LeAnn, and I am here with some phenomenal people. And it's not over. We'll be right back.